Blood Lad. The show was so funny. This show had a great cast of characters and the demon world was so colorful and cool, but unfortunately we need a season 2. Sergeant Frog. This is another weird situation. Sergeant Frog is an anime that's over 300 episodes and multiple movies, but for some reason only the first 74 episodes are dubbed. I've never heard of a cancelled anime dub before, but I guess it happens. Still, it's a very funny show and I recommend it anyways. I just wish there were more episodes dubbed. And no, I can't switch to sub. Would you switch to dub if this happened to you? Yeah, that's what I thought. Panty and Stalking. Panty and Stalking can be described as Powerpuff Girls, but they're whores. This is a very funny late Gainax show. The characters are fantastic, but even though it is done in a very jokey manner, the show ends on a cliffhanger, and it seems like there will be a season 2, but it never happened. I still hold out hope that Gainax will just sell the rights to Trigger so they can give us a season 2. Dead Man Wonderland. This shit still hurts. Everything was so cool except for the main character. He was kind of a pussy, but I was so invested in the show. A prison where it's a game show of death is such a great idea, but unfortunately the show got cancelled. I still hold on to the hope that we get a season 2 or a reboot, but I should probably read the manga as that's at least finished. Okay, that's enough about cancelled anime. Fire Force. If you like Solo or like me, you'll like Fire Force. It's a pretty good show. Only gripe I have is the story isn't the greatest, as when I started season 2, even though it had only been a year, I forgot what season 1 was about for a bit. And while I don't mind it and I find it funny, the character Tamaki can be annoying to other people since her clothes fall off a bunch, but season 2 gets better with it. Anyways, good show, looking forward to season 3. Watsomote. Tomoko is probably the most relatable anime character ever. Some people might label this the cringiest anime ever because there are a lot of awkward moments, but as introverts we were all Tomoko at some point. The show is just so funny. The ending is kind of meh, as most shows go from point A to point B, but Watamote goes from point A to like A-. Like progress is made, but not a lot happens. Tomoko doesn't get that much less introverted or awkward. Space Patrol Luluco. I really enjoyed this show. It has some great jokes and some good heartfelt moments. Even though every episode is only 15 minutes long, Space Patrol Luluco does a lot. I recommend checking it out. Death Parade. I might get hate for rating this so low, but I felt like the episodic nature of the show hurt the show. The show is still filled with some sad moments that kind of got me, but I would have liked a more overarching narrative. The show is very visually appealing though. No Gun's Life. The main character has a gun for a head. Of course I'm gonna like this. No Gun's Life has a good cast and a very interesting world, and I enjoyed it a lot. My only gripes are that in the final battle, both characters turn into CG models, and they are really bad, so the fight doesn't look cool. Also, this show leaves room for a season 3, which I hope we get. Hellsing and Hellsing Ultimate. This anime was kind of hard to place, as we're getting into the section where it shows that made me feel something, but Hellsing and Hellsing Ultimate is just cool characters doing cool things, and it's a very fun watch. Alucard is great. Demon Slayer. Demon Slayer is a very visually appealing anime and I like the characters, but besides episode 19, everything else is kind of okay. Like the plot is kind of basic and the whole show is just fine. It's not bad, but I feel like it could be a bit better. Maybe season 2 would be amazing. Space Dandy. Space Dandy is probably the most visually appealing anime that I've seen so far. It is a very funny show with a couple of deep episodes. I feel it's clear, I'm a guy who likes story, so shows that don't really have a story I'm not going to enjoy as much, so that's my only minor gripe with Space Dandy, but the random adventures and space stuff does work pretty well. Tokyo Ghoul. Look, I won't lie, I know I've ranked this too high, and I know this animation is shit, but Tokyo Ghoul is one of those rare shows where I don't just get invested in the characters, I get invested in the entire world, and I was actually super sad when it ended. I don't know, Tokyo Ghoul is just an important show in my life, and I'll probably remember it forever. But for real, we need a redo, because honestly, it's like they only told 40% of the entire story. I don't know, I guess I should just read the manga. Big L. You ever remember watching a show when you were a kid and thinking it was amazing, then you watch it as an adult and it's not as great as you remembered? That's Big O for me. While I will say the chemistry between Roger Smith and Dorothy is fantastic, and the setting of Paradigm City is great, Big O's problem is it doesn't have a story until it does, and that story doesn't make sense at all. Like all I remember is something having to do with tomatoes or something. It was very weird. Trigon. Probably another hot take, but yeah, Trigon has a very entertaining main character, but everything else is just fine. I guess the show does have a good message at the end, but I remember the show being better when I was a kid. Megalobox. I don't care for sports, but this is a very entertaining show about boxing. I don't know what the robot's arms do, but I guess they look cool. Honestly, this show feels underrated to me. Maybe there was a bunch of hype, but I never saw it. I haven't seen season 2 yet, but this show was really good. Samurai Shampoo. While I did enjoy the show, it took me forever to get invested, because my mind just went, so it's Cowboy Bebop but with samurais? The music in the show is great and the characters are fun, but besides some standout episodes, the show is a little bit too chill for me. I guess I crave too much action for my own good. Urgo Proxy. This show is great and I feel like it doesn't come up enough in anime discussions. I heard from other people that the beginning is too slow, but for me it seemed like it started off strong enough. The show is a great cyberpunk show. My only gripe is to say raison d'etre way too much. It's also pretty confusing, but that's just cyberpunk for you. Black Lagoon, another show about cool characters doing cool things. The setting is really cool. I enjoyed all the adventures the characters went through in the criminal underground. Only downside is the show just kind of ends, not in a good or bad way, just kind of like on to the next job, but the next job hasn't come yet, but the show doesn't feel incomplete. Paranoia Agent. This is a nice psychological thriller. It's by Satoshi Kon, so things get really weird fast. Also, side note, I believe episode 4 begins with a sex scene, so watch out for that. Anyways, this is a very unique show, but it can be pretty slow at times. And I won't lie, I thought the ending was pretty stupid, but years later, this man knew what he was talking about. Like dang, he was ahead of his time. Angel Beats. Look, I won't lie, this show has some bad pacing. I believe all the story happens in the last 4 episodes, but it's high on my list because it made me cry, and not even in a cool manly way, just like a straight up bitch. And I don't cry at anything, so yeah, like I knew it was going to be sad, but I didn't expect it to actually get me. Tiger and Bunny. This show is a very solid superhero show with some nice characters and a fair amount of emotional moments. It's a pretty good show. Blood Blockade Battlefront. This show has fantastic characters and the setting which is New York, but it's called Hell Salem's Lot is great too. Only gripe I have was that season 1 had a pretty good story, and season 2 was more about what the side characters' lives are like. Also, while the show ends fine, I would like a season 3. Devilman Crybaby. In an anime industry full of unnecessary censorship, Devilman Crybaby was a breath of fresh air, ultra gory and a fair amount of nudity. It was just an enjoyable show with some pretty emotional moments near the end. One Punch Man. I like stupid things. One Punch Man is pretty stupid. It's very entertaining to watch the show making fun of all the shonen tropes. Also, the first season had amazing animation. The second season's okay. Like, I think it was overblown. Like, yeah, the animation went down, but it was still watchable. Only minor gripe I have is the show always had me in a constant chuckle, but I was never crying laughing at it. My Hero Academia. This show is a very entertaining show about superhero high school. The characters of the show are kinda weird, as they are very generic, but you still care about them. So far, I'm really enjoying the show. Season 1 through 3 were great, but Season 4 started off strong but ended pretty meh, and from what I've seen of Season 5, so far it's just been a training arc. I don't know, I think the show will get back to being pretty good soon. Assassination Classroom. This show has a ton of characters but gives everyone enough screen time for you to care about them. I really enjoyed this show. It was a fun comedy with some sad moments. Mob Psycho 100. This show has some god tier animation and has a very relatable character. So far we've only gotten 2 seasons, but I'm hoping for a season 3 or an OVA series if there's not enough material for another season. Attack on Titan. So Attack on Titan is a great show, but it takes a while for it to become great. Season 1 and 2 are fine, but the show has this problem for a while. The world is presented as this dangerous place, but no one important ever dies. The last death of Season 2 kinda bummed me out, but it wasn't until Season 3 Part 2 where someone important actually dies. Then Season 4 they killed my favorite character, so of course that shit hurt. But Season 4 was amazing, and I'm looking forward to what happens in the second part. Jojo's Bizarre Adventure. Jojo's Bizarre Adventure is a very solid show with a very unique style. So far I've enjoyed it a lot. Best Jojo is Young Joseph, and the best story was Part 3 in my opinion. And this isn't a negative, but just to let those know who haven't seen it yet, Jojo gets increasingly gayer as time goes on, so get ready for that. The only negative to Jojo I can think of is that a good amount of the fanbase is super annoying. I mean, I kinda get it, Jojo isn't just a show, it's a way of life, but not everything is a Jojo's reference. Soul Eater. I won't lie, I'm probably blinded by nostalgia, but I didn't watch anime from 2005 to 2011. Soul Eater was the first show I watched when getting back into anime, so it will always have a special place in my heart. It's just a fun show with great characters, except for Black Star. The ending, however, is really stupid, and I think we should get a redo, as the anime finished before the manga was finished. Full Metal Panic. Mecha anime, slice of life, romance, comedy. Full Metal Panic does a lot of genres. I sound like a broken record at this point, but yes, I love the characters, I think the show is pretty entertaining, and there are some deep moments that I related to. And it's nice to see Sosuke and Chidori's relationship develop, even though it actually takes like 74 episodes for them to even make the first step. Death Note. I feel like everyone knows about Death Note at this point. You already know why it's great. Great characters, interesting plot. I will say though, after episode 25 the show does go down in quality, but it's still entertaining. Parasite the Maxim. This show was a nice gory anime with some deep moments. I liked it a lot. The only downside I can think of is that the main character's love interest is super annoying. Cogias. This is a great mecha anime with a super smart main character who has psychic powers. It is very entertaining to see how Lelouch fights all these wars and brings peace to the world through violence. The ending was always spoiled to me, but it was still pretty impactful either way. Berserk. This hands down is probably the greatest dark fantasy anime ever. The story and characters are so good that even though this adaptation isn't the best and basically has a go read the manga ending, also there's a really messed up bad cutscene at the end, I still loved it. Just a shame this masterpiece only got one anime adaptation. And to those who are typing right now saying something about 2016 and 17, I don't see how those years are relevant to Berserk's anime. Nothing happened. It's only real if you make it real. Ghost in the Shell, standalone complex. It's a fantastic cyberpunk anime, go watch it. I don't really have any complaints besides the show makes me feel dumb because of how complex the story gets. Made in Abyss. I might be taking a risk here because so far the show only has one season, but the environment and the music in the show are amazing, the characters are great too, and the plot has me really interested, and I want to see Riko get to the bottom to see if her mother is alive. But yeah, please don't promise Neverland Season 2 me, please. Digimon. This anime was my childhood. While I will admit Season 1 is really rough, Season 3, Digimon Tamers, is still really hyped till this day. I stopped watching at Season 4 because it was really stupid, so I can't talk about the entire series, but the first 3 seasons of Digimon are great. Serial Experiments Lane. This is the only horror anime that actually got inside my head. It is crazy how much of the internet this show predicted. The ending wasn't fantastic, but I think it matched the show's vibe. Dorara. This show has so many characters, but they all have just enough screen time, and this show is just really entertaining and weird. I highly recommend checking out this show if you haven't already. Also, all the openings and endings are bangers. Welcome to the NHK. Watsomote is the funny introverted anime. This one is the sad one. The show starts out funny but turns tragic halfway through. This is a pretty powerful show. I think every introvert should watch it just to see how bad things could get and maybe change their lifestyles so things don't get this bad. My only complaint is that the animation quality drops super hard at certain points. Hunter x Hunter. This show is one of the rare shonens that don't waste your time. The pacing is great. Important fights only last like 2 episodes, but they feel very good. Hunter x Hunter is over 140 episodes, but has the content for that many episodes. There are reports that are slow, but there's no DBZ pacing or anything. All the arcs are good. The only arc I didn't like was Greed Island, and everyone talks about it, but boy, that Chimera Anarch was great. The only downside is that Hunter x Hunter isn't finished and the manga isn't finished either. Yu Yu Hakusho. Just a great shonen show that has aged surprisingly well. There are some things that have aged in poor taste, like the dub saying the R word sometimes, but yeah, it was a great show in the 90s and it still remains as one of the best animes ever created. Only complaint I have is the show kinda peaks at the Dark Tournament arc, but the 2 following arcs aren't bad, they're just not as good. Full Metal Alchemist and Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Just a great show overall. The 2003 adaptation was pretty weird though. Like, it's weird how different it was from the actual story, but I enjoyed both adaptations, but Brotherhood is the better adaptation. The only negative I can think of was that the 2003 adaptation's ending was meh. Neon Genesis Evangelion. Eva is a mech anime, but it's not about the robots, it's more about mental illness and a bunch of deep topics. Well, both the ending to the show and the end of Eva are confusing, and in my opinion bad. Eva is truly unique. I can't think of a show that was like Eva before its time. But yeah, I haven't seen the last Rebuild film. Maybe that will end on a solid happy note, but I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't. But yeah, I feel like Eva is a must-watch anime. Kill la Kill. Look, I told you, I like really stupid shit. I know this is a crazy tone shift, but it's my list and I'll do what I want. But yeah, Kill la Kill is an amazing anime. There's fan service, but it's actually plot related, so can you even call it fan service? I was super sad when I finished Kill la Kill just because it was over. Honestly, I feel like Studio Trigger started off too strong because Kill la Kill is so great and they just haven't reached this level again. Gurren Lagann, a fantastic mecha anime with a great message. As weird as it sounds, this anime motivated me to go to college. Too bad it sucked. But yeah, the fact that a show could motivate me so much is amazing, and Gurren Lagann is probably the most important anime I have watched. Only minor gripe I have is something happens in episode 7 or 8 that makes you want to quit the show, but I promise you it's worth it to keep going. Cowboy Bebop. What can be said that hasn't already been said about this show? It is a classic masterpiece of animation. The characters in the story are great, tons of episodes will make you feel emotional pain. As the show says, you're going to carry that weight. Cowboy Bebop is another must-watch anime. FLCL. If you know me personally, you already know this is my favorite anime. I could literally gush about FLCL for about an hour. Everything is great. It's been almost 20 years since I first saw it and nothing has ever topped this show. Honestly, FLCL has ruined my brain. I tend to make FLCL references without even realizing it a lot. This anime is truly a masterpiece. It did so much with only 6 episodes. There were 2 more seasons of FLCL in 2018, and while I think I'm the only FLCL fan who feels this way, they were fine. They weren't the masterpieces the first season was, but I enjoyed them for what they were. I didn't absolutely hate them, like everyone else on the internet, but yeah, if you haven't watched FLCL, you just got to. It's weird as hell, but it's amazing. Alright, that's the video. I ranked all the anime I watched so far. What did you think? Did you agree with most of my picks? Did you disagree? Did you disagree with the whole thing? Did you think this whole list was bad? Also, I guess, what do you recommend I watch? I guess just leave them down in the comments, anime recommendations. Yeah. Just want to thank you guys for watching this video. Like, comment, and subscribe. I've been Crazy Monkey. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.